fundamentals that you need to understand before using the same. Then we talked about using the new operator for calling the instance of a class. Then we talked about the conversion operator, which is the construct expression, which is actually one of the construct expressions. And then we finally talked about concatenation. So yes, in the last class we covered, with respect to the modern syntaxes, we covered about inline declarations, the restrictions related to it, what's the fundamentals that you need to understand before using the same. Then we talked about using the new operator for calling the instance of a class. Then we talked about the conversion operator, which is the construct expression, which is actually one of the construct expressions. And then we finally talked about concatenation. So in today's class, we'll be talking about your reading the internal tables, handling value operator, which is another constructor expression. Then we'll talk about the chain table expression. And then we move on to the dumps. Why I talk about this? Because the reading table, when I talk about reading a table line, so the way that we used to read table, I'm going to show, like, it's going to change a bit now. So in that case, with the changes, the complications are also bound to come in, right? And with those complications coming in, we do have to have a way out to handle those. And we'll talk about these ways out when I talk about handling dumps, in case if line is not found while using the table expressions. And these table expressions, what I refer to when I talk about reading the internal tables. And if time permits, we'll also see like how do we create data object by using new operator. Like yesterday we saw about calling the instance of a class, but yeah, we'll also see how to create the data object by using the new operator. Okay. So any queries with respect to yesterday's session or till now whatever we have covered? Any doubts? Anyone? Or we are all good to go? Thank you. Yeps. Tell me, Harish.
Hi, Kabir. This is Harish. Quick question. Using this Eclipse, can we connect our ABAP program, upload or download from GitHub?
Yes, there is a way to connect to GitHub. Like normally we have how we do in WebID or we done in Bash. I've heard about it, but I have not tried it. But yeah, ABAP Git plugin is also there. So, but that plugin needs to be installed. What I've heard of. But yeah, I haven't explored on that much because if you see Git and all, much more comes into picture when you talk about the cloud versions, right? Mostly the cloud, because you push and pull from Git and all, right?
Yeah.
Hello. So since like I haven't got much chance to work with the cloud projects and all, but yeah, I have heard that ABAP Git plugin is there, which is quite compatible with your Eclipse.
We can't hear you.
And which, hello, is my voice audible?
Yes.
Yeah, it is clear. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, what I was telling, so with respect to the cloud project, yeah, ABAP Git plugin is there. So in case if I do get further much resources or the others, yes, we can do share, and also we can all also do our exploring part a bit, so that we can come to some better blocks or something through which we can try and connect and see how it works.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Srini, could you please rejoin? Or maybe you can connect connect the audio button. That may be the issue. Exactly. Let's try to explore like how to connect the ABAP Git plugin. But I have heard that yeah, there is a plugin is there. So at least let's try to explore on that. Okay. Now let's start on that note. So when I talk about reading the internal tables, so the quick thing that comes is, thanks Srini. Yeah. So yes. So table expressions basically with ABAP 7.40 and onwards, your table expressions, that is when you write itab and the braces, okay, this table expressions so basically these are a new way of your accessing table lines in operand position. Okay, so basically you can say that this table expression is kind of a short form of a read table statement. Always remember that the result of a table expression will always either be a single table line or a single component value or a single value. So whatever read table statement used to do in terms if I compare with the read table expression, so read table always used to give us a single line value, or it used to check whether that value is there or not by using the transporting no fields, right? Similarly, here also you get the same functionality only, and yes, obviously there are some additional functionalities also. So with respect to the table expression, basically it consists of an internal table itab, okay? So itab I'm telling from a nomenclature perspective, and inside this the braces, basically it is followed by a row line, whatever row you want to refer, and then when I write like this itab whatever row line and then component, so this will give me a then that particular component which I want to refer. Okay, so this is the generic expression. Now the thing is that this table expression, if you do not add this component hyphen and then the component, if this no component is specified, then if you just leave it up to this point, then the whole row will be returned, okay, with respect to the result of the matching corresponding row type. If you change this component, then whatever the structure component selector, whatever this component is there, this component will be returned. And now the thing is that this table expression can be used for both your reading and writing position, that is on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side. So table expressions can be used for both your reading positions. So when I talk about reading positions, will it be on the, just tell me, will it be on the left hand side or will it be on the right hand side when I talk about reading positions? What do you say? So when I talk about reading positions, this will be on the right hand side, okay? And when I talk about the writing positions, Harish, no, it will not be on the left hand side. I'll show you also. It will be on the right hand side. And when I talk about the writing positions, then this will be on the left hand side. Okay, so basically now let me show you an example. So if I jump onto my Eclipse, let me zoom it a bit. I hope now the Eclipse screen is properly visible, right? This zoom, whatever percentage I have done, it's better, right? Or do I need to zoom it a bit further? Yeah, Ankit, it's muted. I'll unmute it after some time. Okay, now let me first show you a scenario, basic thing like how we will use the table expression. First, let me pull some data. So I'll pull the data from select from snwd_so. Then let me select all the fields into table. Then add the rate data. Then lt underscore snwd underscore so suppose and up to 10 rows. By the way, one quick question, how many of you have used a select query like this? Are you all using select queries like this or the way I was showing earlier? So a quick question, where do you put the where condition here? So where will the where come here? Here, right? Here will it come or not? Tell me. If I want to write the where condition, it will come here, right? Yes. Okay. So now that we have got the data, so if I want to read earlier what we used to do, read table lt underscore snwd underscore so into data ls underscore snwd underscore so, and suppose if I want to read the line index number 1, so we used to write like this, right? Whatever index value we used to specify. Now what we can do in case of doing like this, what we can do is lt underscore snwd underscore so is the internal table, right? So use the inline declaration ls underscore snwd underscore so and then equal to, what is the internal table? lt underscore snwd underscore so I tab, right? What did I say? I tab and then your braces. So then write these braces, and inside this what will I do? I will access this internal table via making use of any index, right? Any index, this one, this part, making use of any primary index. So now here what can I do? Can I write the index value? Yes, and done. So now Harish, did you understand why did I say for reading it's on the right hand side? Did you get the point why I was saying? For reading that will be on the right hand side. Is it clear? Okay, now that I've read this value, now show me, just I'll activate, I'll put a breakpoint here. Okay, and now I'll do an F8. So ls underscore snwd underscore so and lt underscore snwd underscore so. So I had not given any data type. So the type will be derived implicitly from the right hand side position inline declaration concept. It will be getting clubbed up now, right? So this gets created up as a structure. The type will be snwd underscore so, right? And now I'll do an F5, and now if you see the value here, so all the values came here, right? All the values came here. Now quick question, I talked about the reading position. Now suppose this lt underscore snwd underscore so, okay? Now any value, suppose for this particular value, okay, lt underscore snwd underscore so for this particular row number 1. For this particular row number 1, what is the billing status? Just let's go right side and let's see. So the payment terms, so the billing status is P. So can we try to change this internal table data? So now if I write lt underscore snwd underscore so, okay, for row number 1, for what is the component, guys? Billing status, right? So I can use billing status, okay. Now that is already P. What if I write X? Okay, what if I write X and now I activate the code? Okay, so now this is the billing status for the row number 1, right? Obviously it cannot directly be accessible. Do not try to access this from the debugger, either from ADT debugger or from SAP GUI debugger. Will you be able to access it like this? Will it be accessible? Yes or no? Guys, will it be accessible? Let me unmute you all.
Yes, Kabir, it is accessible.
This cannot be accessible, right? And
Kabir, if
same,
we type these values, if we type these values in the stack, like here in the right hand side.
Okay, so if
then
you want to type it here, right? Okay, so suppose you are telling me to type this one exactly.
Yes.
This one or anything else. This one, right? Select this.
Right.
Go to this variable. Type this. What can you see here? First of all, tell me one thing. Any internal table earlier also in SAP GUI debugger, can you ever access it like this? Or can you access the entire internal table? Which one?
Kabir, I have accessed it this way. Can you please remove the spaces around the one?
Where?
In the index where it is showing it as 1.
So you are telling me to remove the index. Just a second, wait.
Yes.
You are telling me to remove this.
Already removed. Yes.
Okay. So if you remove this, then only it will work. Understood?
Yes.
So that's what I was telling. Can I use it directly like this? No, right? You getting my point? If I directly use this statement with the braces, can you use it directly?
No.
So that is my question. If I obviously remove the braces, because it's tightly integrated with your GUI debugger, so how we do, like, so if you see in the SAP GUI debugger, the spaces doesn't come, right? You will not be able to see any spaces. But if you directly click, just click on this, like normally if I click here, I am getting the value, right? ls_snwt_so. But if I click here, it is going to throw me an error because of this additional spaces. But yes, if you remove exclusively in the variables, but that is an extra effort I am putting, right? Don't you think so? I am writing it again the same, but as in like I have to copy and then I have to remove, right? But directly it will not be accessible.
At the time debugging, to change the variable, it is very useful.
Your voice is breaking.
Kabir, I am saying that at the time of debugging, when you are using the GUI, it is very useful because you will be first going into that internal table, then you will select the row, and then you can only edit it. Like not here, like in the edit you can directly edit it.
I can understand. Now just hold on to my like whatever when I talk about the chain table expression, no. So when you talk about whatever you use to double click and go right in SAP GUI debugger, the same thing you can write the code now. So you will not need to navigate any further. Understood my point?
Yes, yes, okay.
Yes. So just hold on for some more moment and then you will be able to see. So now this is P. Okay. Now let me trigger the debugger again. The program is activated. So if I do F8 now. So now what I'll do, I'll click on F5. I'll again copy this. I'll change this and I'll remove. What happened? 1 second. So let me delete this variable. Okay. Is the program not activated? Why it is not coming? Size of RC is 4. Why? Just let me come out of the same. Why is the size of RC 4? I'll close this as well. I'll activate the same again. Now once again I'll put a breakpoint. Okay. So yeah, now the data came. Maybe for some reason I do not know why the data did not get loaded. So now I'll do F5. Yes. And now let me again copy. and now we'll remove the space. Yep. So now if I do an F5, so now did you understand? So this becomes X. So why did I say this part? Table expressions can be used for both reading and writing position. This is the reason why I said this. Now guys, do you agree? So if I use on the right hand side, it's as a kind of a read table statement. And if I use on the right hand side, so earlier what you would have done, by the way guys, the same thing that we got. If I do F8 now, forget about it. I go to my ABAP perspective. So earlier for this from read to modify, first you would have read, right? Then for this particular component, for this billing status, you would have changed it to X. Then modify the internal table from this work area. Yes or no? Yes or no guys? Tell me. What do you say? But what did I do now? Did I do all those things? No, right? No need to use modify, no need to do all those things. Just by using it as a left hand side as a writing table expression, I have modified the value. So the thing is that it can be used for both on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side. When you are using it as on the right hand side, it becomes as a reading position. When you are using it on the left hand side, it becomes as a writing position. So, so only thing is that now the point comes, I have used LT underscore SNWD underscore SO with the index values, right? Now I'll show you with a free key value. So suppose, let me use another scenario now. So ls underscore snwd underscore so equals to, now what I'll do, lt underscore snwd underscore so. Okay, now here I will use the free key value. So what I'll use, so underscore id. So I'll need to pass some value. Let me pass some dummy value. I do not know whether this exists or not. And something else also, currency code equals to USD. Okay. And now over. Fine. Okay. I'll activate the code. I'll comment this out now. So now let me do again a F8. So if I do F8, first let me put a breakpoint. So LT underscore SNWT underscore SO, what I have given 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 0 and 8. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 6, 7. So 7 and 8. So what will happen guys? What will happen? Can anyone tell me? Will it give me a blank structure, or what will happen?
Will get 4 and it will not update anything in structure.
So you say that size of RC will get blank and it will not update anything, right? Any other answers? So basically you are telling that you will get a blank structure, right? Any other answers?
Short down.
Yes, you are somewhere close.
Short down.
Yes. Any other answers apart from short dump?
No, I think so. It will populate the particular row, the sales order row into that structure.
Okay, but tell me one thing. If you see this particular value, currency code. Okay, so if I go to this ninth index, okay. So if you see the currency code is EUR, it is not even USD.
Then it will not populate. Yeah.
And also if you see this particular value, okay, this one, can you see this value? And this value, don't you think the zeros are not matching, right?
Yeah.
So now
maybe dump. Yeah, short dump.
If I do an F5, this is what you get, a beautiful screen with a dump. So now I'll come to this, and this is very important. A very, very important thing is that with respect to table expressions, now just listen to me very carefully. With respect to table expressions, in case if that particular row is not found, it raises an exception CXSY ITAB line not found. Okay, and the other thing is that there is no concept of psi sub bar C with this table expressions. Psi sub bar C does not get altered or does not get modified when you are using table expression. So no psi sub bar C can be applied on the table expressions. Neither no concept of binary search also can be applied on table expression. So I'll just make a note of it. So when we are using table expressions, remember, no psi sub bar C can be applied, neither binary search can be applied. Okay, remember this point. Now let's come back to this thing. So since this dump is inevitable, right? So what do we do? What do we do to handle this dump? Can I write try and try? And I catch that exception, sorry, CXSY ITAB line not found. I can do this, right? So if I do this now, and I activate the code, and now I put a breakpoint, and I do an F8 now. So observe here, psi sub bar C is 0, right? So whatever I just said, now let me justify. I do an F5. Do you see any movement in the psi sub bar C value? No, right? Do you see any kind of movement in the psi sub bar C value? Do you think? And this exception gets triggered. Exclamation mark. Remember, I talked about this in either class 1 or 2, right? Whenever you reach an exception, you will be able to see an exclamation mark. Do you guys recall this exclamation mark symbol and the exception throwing in? Yes or no?
Yes.
Go to the exception raise location, show exception variable, everything. So you will be getting an exception, and now if you see ls underscore snwd underscore so, the values will be what? This is the old value or the new value? This is the old value or the new value? This is still the old value. So do you understand the second implication of it? In case if you have not cleared this, what is happening? Is it the same or not? When you are using a read table into a work area, if psi sub bar C equal to 4, what is the value which it still holds? If you have earlier stored any value onto the structure, does it hold that earlier value or does it get cleared? What does it happen? What does it happen, guys? Does it still hold the old value? Even with read table, if psi sub bar C equals to 4, does it still hold the old value or does it get blank in case if still psi sub bar C is 4? Can anyone tell me?
Old value.
Old value? Yes, right. So here also, if you see, though did this fail, but still psi sub bar C no impact, and as we all know that no value will be copied because there was nothing to copy from this, it will still hold the old value, it will not get cleared. The same concept stays here as well. Up to this point, is it clear, guys? Any doubts? Okay, so this is a way number 1 in case if there is no data found, as in CXSY ITAB line not found. But do you think that for every logic that you're going to write, you're always going to depend on this try and catch. So you're going to depend on so many number of try and catch. Does this look good? Or is there any other way out? There should be some other way out, right? So when we talk about catching this exception, right? So if a row is not found, obviously a runtime dump happens, and we are making use of the exception to catch it under try. But there are other ways out also. So the other ways out are, we can make use of these functions whether line exists or line index. So this basically checks whether that particular line exists or not. It returns either a true or a false. This line index value, it returns a positive index value in case if that line is found, or by assigning a default value, or by making use of optional. Now let's jump on to these other options now. So let's go to the way 2, where I try to make use of line exists. So now here what I'll do is, so what did I say? It returns either a true or a false, right? So if line exists, and now what you need to do is that within this function line exists, you need to use your table expression within this function. So table expression can also be used directly within this function. That's the beauty of this table expression. As a one more thing, it can be used as a kind of a general expressional position, or as a kind of a functional operand position. Isn't this a kind of a functional operand position, where within the function you are passing directly the table expression? So here what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pass this value now. What I was trying to read here, I was trying to read this, right? So now I'll try to read this here. I'll put it here, and let me just try to comment this out. So if line exists this, okay, if it is true, then now ls underscore sndso, and now I'll put this line here. Okay, I'll pretty it in the same. Now, so if I put a breakpoint now here, and if I do an F8, so line exists, okay. So if I do an F5, what happened? Since it is not true, directly it comes out of that if and if block. So this is the other way out, okay. Now I told about another way, so let me quickly jump onto the other one out. I'll close this, I'll close this. Now with respect to way 3, apart from line exists, you can make use of the line index also, right? So this is the functionality line underscore index. Now here what it will do, here you are directly able to use this as a kind of a check by using return true or false, right? Now here what you need to do is, when you are using the line index, you will be getting that particular index value of the line in case if it's found. So data lv underscore index equals to line index, and here also as a kind of a functional operand position. So here what you do, you put this condition inside this. Always remember, if you see here, whether I am using line exists or line index, always there has to be a space between the opening and the closing of the parenthesis. Okay. So now with respect to this index value, what you're going to check is whether it's a positive value or whether it's not available at all. So if lv index is greater than 0, and then apply an end if, and here you check for this thing. So put the condition here, and now let me again comment this part. Just let me activate, and I'll disable this. I'll put a breakpoint here, okay. And if I debug this now. So here LV index value, this is of integer type. So the initial value as of now is 0, right? So if I do an F5, so now can you see here, the value does not get changed. What did I say? It will only be greater than 0 because it has to specify that index value. Also one more thing I did not talk about till now. Can't I use that psi index? Can I use psi index here? Sorry, psi tabix. I am in not psi index. Can I use psi tabix here? Can I use psi tabix here? What do you say? Do you think any usage of psi tabix can be put here? No, right? Yes. Somehow or the other you cannot use psi tabix here. Okay, now coming back to LV index, what did I say? The value will be either greater than 0 or it will be 0. So now what we can put a check is, if LV index is greater than 0, then try to read the value. Okay, now all of you just tell me a quick thing. When I am using these two approaches, okay, also what you can do is that when you are writing any checks, so else you can put your logic in the else condition also and end if, in case if you need. Let me go to the, yes. Now quickly guys tell me one thing. When I am using this way 2 or way 3, do you think that from getting the data in a structure or getting a value, when you are trying to check the same and then you are trying to get the value, is it really a good approach? Yes or no? Is it really a good approach? Yes or no?
No.
Why?
We are reading the same row 2 times.
Yes. So this is not good from a performance perspective, right?
That's right.
Because you are reading the same thing 2 times, right? So ensure that with respect to like this scenario, so like when you are trying to read some value from a table and try to put it into a structure, and suppose in case if the data is not found, though this way 2 and way 3 exists, but these are kind of not a good approach because you are trying to read the same thing 2 times. So now what's the better way out is, here if you see these 2 does not fit into good categories. So what are the other 2 out is, you either make use of optional or assign a default value. So now what do I do is, I go to this way 4.
Kabir, just a second, I have a question here. Like in the line number 165, you have used the values. So only these SOID and currency code will be transported to the work area, or the whole row will be transported to the work area?
This is the internal table. Here I am using free key. So any row which matches with this, both this condition, the entire row will be transferred from this internal table from the right hand side to the left hand side. Understood?
Okay, and if I want to transfer only one value, then we need to
so if you want
go
to
with the
transfer
first
only one value, if you want to transfer only one value, what did I do on the left hand side for writing position? Similarly, do it on the right hand side for the reading position. So if you want to read only a single value, you need to add a component. I talked about it here, right?
Yes.
Remember?
Okay.
Got the point?
Okay. Yes.
So now I am using free key. You also can use the combination of your primary key by using the keyword key and then using the combination of the keys. Got the point? So when I am using free key, you are talking about the dubious or the double records, right? You can also influence your result using a table key. What you need to do then is, here the key keyword will come into picture. then whatever key name you have given, and then whatever components, or by writing the component names, components, and then the components like how I'm passing. Understood? Got the point? Did you understood, Loganathan? Harish and Loganathan? Okay. Do not worry, all the things whatever I am discussing about, all of this you will get in assignments also, so it will make it clear to you. Assignments are prepared in such a way that you will be able to drill down into all the things related to all these concepts. Okay, now let's jump on to the way 4. So when I talk about way 4, so we saw try and try, we saw the usage of line exists, we saw the usage of line index. Okay, but those are not that good approaches, and the try and try we do not like that much. Now let's move on to the way 4. What's the way 4? So I will introduce one more operator now. When I talk about way 4, one more constructor operator, which is called the value operator. So I'll talk about another so this is another constructor operator, as in the value operator. So when I talk about the way 3, what happens is that you need to club your table expression with your value operator. So a constructor expression with this value operator, it creates a result of a data type that you will be specifying using the type like how you saw for CONV operator. Okay, so what does the value operator basically does is, this value operator will create any initial value for any non-generic data type, or it will create the content of your structures or your internal tables. So if you see here, when I use this to get the value, so now what I'll do is ls underscore snwd underscore so equals to, I'll make use of this value operator. I'll use an hash. Why I'm using an hash? Because this ls underscore snwd underscore so I've already declared it here, right? Yes or no? If I had not declared it here, then from lt underscore snwd underscore so, if it can be generically determined, then it's fine. Otherwise you need to give the data type here. The same concept goes like what we had discussed yesterday. But here, since it is already declared, no need to give the data type, you can use with hash. So now with hash, what I'll do is lt underscore snwd underscore so, and now the same condition here. Okay, the same condition here, but now add a keyword which is optional, and done. That's it. So that's why I told use this optional feature. But so what I'm doing, clubbing the table expression using a keyword optional, and along with that putting this entire expression in a value operator, which is the constructor expression, and trying to construct this structure by using the value operator. Okay, now if I activate this code, and now if I double click on this, and if I do F8, what happened? Just let me again put F8. Okay, so ls underscore snwd underscore so, that is the older value. Okay, now if I do an F5, so if you see here, dump did not come, but can you see the beauty of it, guys? Can you see here something else? Do you see a difference with respect to your try and in this situation? Because in this situation, so anyways it was not going inside, right? Do you see a difference here? So now can you see a difference with this read table now? Now I have introduced a difference now. Do you find a major difference now coming with this read table now? If you use this kind of a functionality. So now does it solve your problem of writing specifically a statement called clear work area, free work area, refresh work area? Now you can get rid of that. You do not need to use clear, because sometimes we exclusively use clear, right? Yes or no? So this is another approach, and this is one of my favorite approaches. Not favorite, like mostly you will use this. So now I'll do an F8.
Can you
Yep.
please tell again what is the optional keyword meaning?
Nothing. This, if you do not put this optional, no, what will happen? See here. I'll not put this optional, okay? I'll activate this code. So basically just tell me one thing. ls and value operator, what did I say? It will try to construct a value, in this case for a structure or for an internal table, right? So now if I do not use that optional parameter, sorry, that optional keyword, so now what will happen? Will this will not work, right? This will go into a dump, right? So if I do F5, to avoid that dump, that optional is coming. Understood?
Yes.
So Loganathan, what is the question? How do we define if it is being called within a loop of this another table if this is not defined before? So in case if this is not defined before, use data operator. So example, I'll comment everything out. 1 second. I comment this and I comment this. So now if you use hash, okay, can you see any error coming? This is unknown, right? Because this was not declared earlier. This is what your question is, right? Now I'll put a inline declaration here, inline declaration here. Can you see that error coming, that it is not able to determine the type of this from this? Are you able to see that? Is that error coming? Loganathan, where that error is coming? That error is not coming, right? Where is that error coming? Do you see any red sign? Hello?
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Can
Doing a
others please
loop on
go
a
on
header
mute?
table, then every time it will be a data.
No. So in inline declaration, every time it will be not be kind of a data. So if you are using in a loop, obviously if you are using inline declaration, every time it will try to initialize. That's very true.
How do we approach those scenarios?
See, in case of when you are trying to loop, and so if you are reading multiple values, okay, anyways, when you are trying to read the multiple values, you do loop at internal table into work area, right? There you are not doing a read table. Isn't it different from what we are doing right now? It's not about this read table expression is not about multiple values. For table expression, when you deal with multiple values, then there is something else which we'll discuss in the upcoming week. So remember that, like the statement in a read table, a table expression is a single row which is read. If multiple rows of an internal table are to be read, you again need to use the conventional loop, or there is a for expression which we will talk about in the upcoming week.
I think if I understand this question correctly, let's say if we use create object in the loop, so every time there is an iteration, it will create a new object, right? So
Right.
Same ways, like if we use data, I mean this inline declaration within the loop, will it define the
Yes.
object every time for every iteration? I think that's what his question is, I guess.
Yes, that's what I said. If you keep on using inline declaration, using inside a loop. Okay, if you are using inside a loop, suppose for some variable, okay, for some variable or some work area which you are declaring or trying to create or something, in that case it will not create again and again. You can easily use that inline declaration inside the context, or the usage of that inline declared variable will be inside that loop only. So if you want to do like that, yes, obviously you can go ahead. But if you want to handle more than multiple rows, then obviously this table expression is just like kind of a read table statement. Did you understand the point, Loganathan? You can try, just use a loop statement. So anything just like what we did here, example, where did it go? Here we were doing, right? Loop at LT QPO into data LSE QPO. Declare any variable LV var and try to read the LSE QPO abelin. So use the inline declaration here. Data LV underscore abelin equals to LS underscore EQPO abelin. That will not cause any issues for you. You will get the value easily.
So can we use optional statement in line number 149?
Here, no. That is on the right hand side and that is on the left hand side. This is on the left hand side, right? Writing position.
Yes.
This you know that this record exists for which you want to modify, yes or no?
No, I just want to see if make sure like it does not exist.
So simply understand, this keyword optional gets added up with this table expression when you are trying to construct a work area from this table expression, which is on the general expression position on the right hand side. So this will not come to this side. Understood?
So this is specific to value constructor operator.
Right. Construction, value constructor expression. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Now that I talked about this way 4, there is one more thing which we can use is, so suppose for this particular row, I will not read this currency code or whatever. What I'll do is, for this particular row, I want the currency code component. Okay. So somebody was asking me what if I want to use a single value, right? LV underscore currency code. So now what we will do is, I need this value, right? LV underscore currency code. Okay. One more thing for this line. When I am using this line, in case of hash, I comment this thing. What can I write here? What should I write here? Anyone?
Data type.
So what is the data type can I write?
The table type. So
Can I write like this?
it should
Yes
work.
or no?
Yes.
So this is the other way out. So if you, what did I say yesterday? If you put hash, it is not able to determine, jump onto this part, line number 171. But if 170 works out for you, no need to do anything. But yeah, always this will not work out. You need to switch back to this thing. You need to use the data type. Sometimes it may be a local type also. Sometimes it may be a elementary type also. Sometimes it may be a dictionary type also. So it depends on the uses that you are trying to use. But some cases this may also work out. In case if it is able to derive the type from your right hand side position, go ahead with this line number 170. Okay. So now
Can we use types definition also here?
Yeah, that's what I said. No, local type. You create your local type. I'll come to that also. Do not worry. I'll create a lot of local types. I'll put here. You will see that. That's why I said just now, right? If you create a local type, you can put that also. Now come to this way 5. So if I want to get the currency code, suppose for this particular row with this record. So what you can do is value operator, value hash. Now LT underscore SNWT underscore SO. Now inside this, what I'm going to do is SO underscore ID. Now suppose I give any value randomly. Okay. Now for this, what is the component that I needed? What is the component that I needed? Currency. So currency underscore code, right? So for this particular row, I needed the currency code. But the problem is, this not give me a dump? This will give me a dump, right? So what to do? What to do? If I give optional, what will happen? This will give me a blank value, yes or no? But I don't want to get a blank value. In case if a line is not found, I default it to the INR currency code. So what can I do now? So I will now default it to INR. Fine. I'll activate this. And now just let me show you. So I'll put a breakpoint here. And LV currency code. This is initially blank. So if you see this line, there will be no such line found. So what is the currency code coming? This is defaulted to INR. And the beauty of this is in some cases, so what happens is while in our logic, we try to get some value, but we are not able to get a value because that row does not exist. Then we again override that value with something else, or we mix and match with something else, try to pass some other default value, right? And then again try to append it to that some other internal table, or modify a row with some other value, yes or no? This kind of common scenarios do we face or not? So in that case, with your default, in case if you want to pass a default specific value, so suppose if a row is not found, you want to default with that particular value. Like example, you have created your own local type, you have created your own local structure, you want to pass that structure. So what you can do is, here also in case, if this I have put it as a component because I wanted to show you that you can access a component. In case if you want to pass a default row, so what you can do is, suppose this is the default row which I am getting, okay? And in case if you are not able to get any data, you can default it to that particular row also. Understood, guys? Can we have an expression with the default? As in, I did not get your question, Prasad.
No, whatever the expression that we are using after value, can we have similar expression there in the default as well, or it has to be a value?
Okay, so I understood your question now. So basically, what did I say just now? Listen to me. What did I say? In case if I am trying to create a work area here, okay, structure here. So what will I do? Here then I will not pass any component. So in case of default, then again I will need to pass a work area here, yes or not? So in case if I want to pass a work area here, so suppose see a scenario. So now I'll comment this. So data, suppose ls underscore snwd underscore so1, okay. And now suppose I'll bring this back to, I'll bring this currency code inside, and I'll remove this hyphen. Suppose here I'll put that back to UR, okay. And now if I do not get this, what will I do? Value hash, okay. And now I will pull the data back from here. So now, can you see this? Isn't it cool? Can you see this, guys? What do you talk about this kind of coding now? So I'll do this. I'll activate the code, let it format. I'll activate the code now. So now what I will do, just let me put a breakpoint, and I'll do an F8. Okay. So ls underscore snwd underscore so1, okay. Initially the value is blank. I'll do an F5. What is the value coming? Isn't the row 1 coming? So Prasad, did it answer your question?
Yes, yes. In that case, we can use the components as well, right?
In that yeah, so that's why I just
Yeah,
showed
yeah,
you a
yeah.
scenario. Either you convert it
Understood.
into a component,
Yes.
or you convert it into a work area, or you convert it into an internal table also, whatever you need.
Good.
But I'm just showing you the perspective, like the different scenario.
Yes.
So here it's not that like here only, here also when you are writing a value, right? Here also, in case if you do not get any value here, so suppose here just let me make it a bit more complex. So I'll comment this out. I'll disable the breakpoint from here. Here I'll make any suppose so underscore ID equals to 08 anything random garbage value. Okay, and here again default, and here again value operator, and here again hash, and here again lt underscore snwd underscore so, and here again 1. So now let me just break it down to this. Can you so what will be the answer now? Tell me. So if somebody new sees this code, what they will think that what is happening, right?
Right.
So now if I just let me put a breakpoint here, and I need to refresh the activation points. 1 second. Okay. So ls underscore snwd underscore so. So did any dump come? There were so in 2 instances data was not found, right? See here the output came, and I'll do again this thing. So here also no data found. In case if no data found, I defaulted to this condition. Here also no data found. Again, in case of no data found, I defaulted to this condition. But see, the complexities that you need to handle is this closing of braces. If here you make a mistake, your code will not get activated. In case like if I forget this, see this error will start coming. Expected after. So it will not say expected after what? Understood? Guys, did you get my point? So if you make a mess with these braces, no, it will not say you what it is expected after what. So that is one point which you need to consider. Got the point? Can we have 3 minutes of break? I'm feeling very thirsty now, and I think it was really exciting to get all these concepts that whatever we saw now, right? So Harish, regarding a question about grouping in the internal table, hold on to your question. This all will cover in the upcoming weeks. How do we use the group by operator, the for expression, everything we'll talk about. There is a lot in modern ABAP syntax. It's not about just a few things. We'll be at least committing around 5 days in that. Today is just the second day, right? So Ravi, with respect to performance improvement, when I talk about this value operator and all, you will not see kind of any kind of performance improvements with these. But yeah, there are some syntaxes are there which drastically reduces the performance. I'll speak about this performance also. So example, if you see with inline declaration, earlier we used to declare a lot of variables but we never use, or we used to declare but it was not with respect to the local context out of it. So memory consumption from that aspect if you see for inline declaration. But with respect to this read table expressions like reading, but that's why I was talking about these things, right? With respect to performance, there is no meaning if you use a kind of a reading the data into a work area and using line access or line index and doing the same kind of a read multiple times. So that's why the points that I was trying to stress upon, that why go for these approaches and not these approaches. This will also come handy. It's not like that this will not come handy. There will be scenarios where you may need to read as well as from a performance perspective think about, you need to check for both the things. So here you do not need to get the data into a work area. You just check for a line and then you write your logic on based of that for something else. Okay, so if some record exists with respect to some conditions, then you want to do some other manipulation. So earlier it was always that you need to either you use a read table transporting no fields. In the same kind of a situation you use this. But here also that's why I said, like in these situations, specifically like usage of value operator and all, it really changes the way you do your coding. But in most of the scenarios, specifically with the points that we are talking about today, you will not find that kind of a much more performance difference. Got it?
No, Kabir. If we are not using the binary searches, then what is the impact on performance? Does it?
So do you really always use binary search, Ankit? My next question to you.
What?
Do you always use binary search?
If the records are more than 500 in the internal table, then we must use it.
No, but SAP never says that if the records are more than 5, then we always need to use binary search. Does it specify? Tell me.
Actually, when we measure the performance like using the traces, then I have noticed that there is a drastic change, and what is recommended is 500, but maybe not by SAP, but I have read in
that. So that I can understand. Like in terms of when you are trying to read huge records, it's in thousands or it's in 10,000s. Obviously, when you introduce the concept of binary search, then obviously it will work fine. But if you see here, when I am trying to use this on the conditions of something, so specifically with respect to the stable expressions, this I talked about from avoiding dumps and all. So when you talk about reading optional or trying to read a particular row, here we are not trying to like kind of with sometimes what we do within a loop, you again try to read on the basis of that structure, right? Then you use a lot of binary search because already you are in a loop where you are reading multiple lines from that loop. Again, you want to read a line on the basis of that work area? Yes or no? So then your performance really needs to be looked at. But if you see, when you're specifically using table expressions for a kind of a, you know that you want to specify on this particular free key conditions or the key combinations or that particular index value, do you think that from the application server perspective, do you really think that you need to apply a binary search? If you are even doing a read table and you know that for which conditions, will you still apply binary search? If you are exactly knowing the conditions and you can differentiate the data. But yeah, obviously if huge records are there, obviously we'll go for binary search, but that's how the system they have built, is that you cannot make use of the binary search here. But yeah, in the upcoming class I'll show you when you are using multiple loops, as in the for iteration, no, you can restrict using the concept of parallel cursors and all. You can utilize that approach where you can get usage of performance.
One question.
Okay, so we need to use these approaches responsibly, because if there are huge number of records, then we should go with the binary search only.
And that too, I'll say, if you are getting much more complex, huge amount of data, then you are getting a lot of complex aggregations, calculations to do, then obviously go for your code push down. That has
Okay.
got that will obviously beat any of your ABAP application server logic. That is nothing compared to all this.
Yes.
One question, Kabir, like in these indexes, do we need to sort internal table or it doesn't matter, because sorting should improve the...
Can others, I'm not able to hear you.
In the syntax, in above syntaxes, do sorting on the internal tables will make any difference on performance?
So normally if you see, when you are trying to do a binary search, you do sort, right?
Yes.
But here there is no binary search. So since binary search is not there, it's not that you really do need to sort. One quick question to all of you. If you are on a HANA database, does the data get sorted implicitly? Or do you need to exclusively sort it in a select query?
We need to sort.
You need to exclusively sort it, right?
Yeah.
Because of this columnar processing, the sorting also goes out of picture. So if your logic is dependent on something which you have not sorted and you have written the logic in that way, it is not going to work. Yes or no?
Yes, Kabir.
So that's why here also there is no mandatory that you need to sort. But yeah, if you want, you can obviously sort it, because if it is trying to read it sequentially, obviously it will get the data faster. But you can even try to do a runtime analysis without sorting and with sorting. You will not find that much difference. I've done the same. But yeah, as a practice, definitely you can, if you want, you can definitely sort the data before reading.
So
and once again I'll say that it's not that it completely replaces read table. There will be scenarios where you will find that you need to use read table, but in a lot of coding, like at least in 70-80%, you will see that you are easily able to replace your read tables with these syntaxes in 80 to 90%. But it does not say that it will eliminate the loop and read table. Those still exist. Getting the point, guys?
So Kabir, let's say I define my internal table as a sorted internal table. In that case, like, will it not
yes,
be used?
that is also another approach. You define your internal table as a sorted internal table, and then you build the data in your sorted internal table, and then if you read table, then obviously you do not need to again sort the data.
So my question is, will it internally take care of that binary search, since like my table is sorted?
Binary search concept is only not there if you are using table expression. That's why I'm stressing again and again. If you are using table expression, there is no concept of binary search. Till now, SAP has not got into that. Maybe in the future, obviously it can come, but till now with table expression, binary search is not there. But SAP is evolving, right? So we do not know.
One question, Kabir. In this 177 and wherever, like, can we read the values with the variables, like sco underscore id equal to dv underscore var, whatever the value in the var, in the variable?
Your voice is very low, by the way.
I'm
not able to hear you properly.
what I'm trying to say is like, can we read this internal table with variable values instead of hard coding 50008?
Yes, yes. So this one you are telling, right? Right. So you can pass this with, suppose you have something example. What do you say? If this I have hard coded here just for showing you. Suppose if you have it in some variable or something or some other what do you say, a work area or something, you can pass the same and check out. It's not that you have to hard code it here. Okay. These can be replaced with your variables or any work area components also. Understood?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So Kabir, this one is searching serially, right? At present?
Yes. But trust me, try to do a SAT or try to do the ABAP profiling or anything, whatever you feel comfortable. You will not find that much of a difference where end users are going to say you anything that this has become slow or something. SAP has at least looked from that perspective. It has taken care and consideration of that.
Have a million records or more, I think it will improve the performance.
That's what I said. If you go into very high number of records, you are fetching the data from a database table or multiple database tables. You are getting 10,000s of lines, thousands of lines, 20,000 of lines. Then obviously, if you are directly not doing any binary search, obviously you will see a performance difference.
So isn't it because of HANA, like maybe the optimization, whatever that we are talking about, so that will be taken care within the database when they do this query, when this query hits HANA database.
That's why I said, if you push everything to your HANA database, forget about your application server logic.
Yeah.
You can push a lot of things to your HANA database by using code push down techniques. But everything you cannot achieve using code push down techniques also, right? Obviously, ABAP application server coding has to be done, right? So you need to take your decision and your choice reasonably and responsibly as to which approach you need to take at what time. But always you are not going to handle 10,000s or thousands or lakhs of data, right? Sometimes you will be building internal tables with small set of data. Guys, understood the point?
Yes, but to simplify the solution a bit, like if we declare the internal table as sorted, that will be much easier, right? You don't need to worry about manage it.
So that you can do. So here, up to 10 rows, what you do now, after after the end of the session, you put an order by, you take a runtime analysis of this record fetching and all, then you put an order by, okay, either ascending or descending, whatever you're comfortable with, and then you see, I'm telling you, you will not find much difference at all. Right. It will be hardly a very drastic difference. And do not put 10 rows. You can, I do not know how many data are there in the system. So maybe whatever data are there, pull everything and then you try out. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So let's move ahead. Let me quickly remove this breakpoint, yes. Okay, so we talked about reading an internal table with the help of the table expressions. I also talked about the value operator. Now with respect to the value operator, now we saw to create a, construct a value from a table expression. Now let me show you the other usage of this value operator, how it comes very handy. Sometimes you may need to create structures or create internal tables on the fly, on the go, right? Yes or no? Have anyone worked with business partner? CL underscore MD underscore BP maintain, validate single. So whoever has worked with that, can anyone tell me how so specifically we need to create a structure and internal table in an exclusive format, right? Yes or no? And if you see, if you go by the conventional approach, since the structures are deep type, okay, so to tell you a scenario, if the structures are very deep type, doesn't it become complex while trying to build the structures and the table types or the internal tables and then the structures in a very complex scenario? It becomes a bit complex, right? So then your rescue comes with this help of this value operator. If you become a master in that one, your value operator will really become a big rescue for your such cases. So let me do a declaration types. What is the battery percentage? 20%. Okay. Anyways, I think we can easily continue up to 9 o'clock. So types begin of, suppose ty underscores, and let me give any nomenclature, ty underscore old or whatever. So I'll give F1 type C and end of ty underscore old m. I'll make it old and this one. Okay. End of ty underscore old. Then tt underscore old type standard table of ty underscore old and then a period. Okay. So now suppose if there is a work area which is referring to this local structure ty underscore old, okay, and if there is an internal table which is type standard table of, okay, this goes into a battery saver mode. Is my screen visible properly because the light has reduced a bit?
We can see.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if I now create an internal table with the type standard table of this ty underscore old, and if there is a structure with this type of ty underscore old, earlier what we used to do, we used to pass the value. So suppose if there is a work area, for this component F1 will pass a value, then again append to the internal table, then again we will pass another value, then again we will append to the internal table, right? Yes or no? So what we used to do, so suppose data w underscore old type ty underscore old, okay, and lt underscore old type standard table of what? Suppose ty underscore old. Okay. So now suppose if I want to pass the value to this component F1, I'll pass a value, suppose a, and then append w underscore old to lt underscore old. So suppose now if I want to pass two more values, so if I make it B and if I make it C, and now CL underscore demo underscore output display underscore data, and here I'll pass the internal table name. Do not use this class as a part of your requirements. I'm just showing this class and the method as a part of your just for this demo for outputting the same, okay, but do not use this class for your requirements. Now let me activate the code. Let me print the same. So now what will this internal table will be holding 3 records, right? So if I do an F8, this internal table will be holding 3 records with this component name, right? So this is the old approach, right? So what I can do now is, rather than doing this data ls underscore new equals to value operator can be used for constructing a structure, yes or no? So now can I use hash here? Can I use hash here for constructing this work area? Yes or no? Can I use hash? No, right? So what we can do, instead of hash. So what should I put here? Somebody was asking me the question, I told you an answer. What should I put here? So ls underscore new, if I want to build on this type, ty underscore old, right? This is a work area I'm trying to build. Why should I pass a table type? Should I pass a table type or should I pass a work area? Work area, right? So ty underscore old. And now can I pass the component? So this component came, right? Similarly, what if I want to build a internal table? Can I use the value operator? Now what should I give here? tt old or ty old? tt old, right? Table type. And now if I use this, and now I need to pass the components, right? Now remember, there is a thin line of difference between this and this. When you are using a structure, it's a single parenthesis open, single parenthesis close, and the components and the values. When you are using an internal table and a value operator to construct or to create a table type, from the table type, opening and a closing parenthesis, but inside again a opening and a closing parenthesis for every work area or for every row type that you are trying to create. Did you understand, guys? So now what did I say? Opening and closing for the internal table, but for every row type or for every table line that you are trying to create, you need to put one as well. So f1 equals to a, right? Yes or no? Similarly, what I can do, put it here, and now f1 equals to b. Similarly, put it here, and f1 equals to c. Okay, but guys, tell me one thing, still an error is coming. Do you know why? A value of the generic type tt underscore old cannot be constructed. Why? Can anyone tell me why? Where comma? Where do you need a comma? So to resolve this, add a line here with default key. There is no key here, so add a word called with default key and the error will be gone. Remember that you will get this issue if you are not defining any other additional word here. You need to use with default key. So if you see here, with default key, with empty key, you can use both in case if there is no key. With key, further secondary keys, non-unique, non-unique, unique. This you need to use with the combination of the keys. We will use that as well. I'll show you that, but that is not required as of now because there is no key here. So I'll activate this. Okay, and now I'll use this, and here in case in lt underscore new. So now if I activate the same, so what you will be able to see here is that if I do F8 now, so lt underscore old and lt underscore new. And the thing is that you can use either an empty key here or a default key in case. So if you use a default key, it tries to see if I have created anything as a key here. I have not given anything as a key while declaring this work area and this table type with keys or anything. I have not key. So if you use a default key, basically there is no key, so the default will be blank. Or since there is no key, the best is you can go for an empty key, or if you want you can go for a default key. Whatever is your choice, you can go with anything. And now, and there was another question. Why do we need line 198 in this case? Which line you're talking about? This line. I was just telling you how you can construct a structure. This is the construction of an internal table, right? This is the creation of a structure. Did you understand the difference? So in case, now tell me one thing. This is ls underscore new. In case of this, can I use ls underscore new here? Yes or no? And now if I activate, what will happen? What will happen? LT underscore old, LT underscore new. Isn't it the same thing? Did you get my point, guys? Isn't it the same thing? See, instead of using this, so what did I do here? This is ls new, right? This is ls new. Whatever value I have got here, I have put it here. So either I use this or I directly give the value here. So I just showed you both the differences. Did you understand, guys? So, so battery is anyways very low. So what we will do is, from the next class, what we're going to do? From next class, we'll talk about the chain table expression and creating the complex cases that we were talking about. I was just telling, right? It becomes very handy to create very complex scenarios. So we will start from a complex scenario, like how we can build a deep structure type, and that is where the real usage of this value operator really comes in. Even in some cases, sometimes we need to quickly create an internal table or quickly create a structure and all. It becomes very handy in the code. But specifically your deep complex structures or your deep table types, there your value operator will really be very handy, from which we will start in the next class and will complete the rest part. So we already understood the table expression. We saw the usage of the value operator, the combination of both table expression with the value operator, and how to handle the dumps. And now we are pending with the chain table expression and the creation of the complex deep cases. That we will start from the next class, because the battery is very low and do not want to interrupt the recording as well. Is it fine, guys? Will that do?
Yes, Kabir.
Okay then. So have a fantastic weekend. Just let me close the recording.